2022 or Death Holler brought us Season 3, Slash or Pass. It became the classic horror film podcast of its time. Now Death Holler brings us the most shocking season ever.
10 more tops.
Season 4, Zed or Dead.
Yeah, they're dead. They're all messed up.
Imagine, if you will, that one of the hosts is absolutely terrified of zombies.
So, what's the plan? Bash him in the head, that seems to work out.
Now, accept the fact there is no escaping this horror. Death Holler brings back the dead. Remember, when you're in Death Holler, listener discretion is advised. With hospitality like this, you'll never want to leave. We hope you stay alive.
When there's no more room in hell, the dead will walk the earth.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Death Holler. I am your host and zombie movie fan supreme, the Reverend Dr. Death, and joining me reluctantly is my co-host and disembodied spirit, Llareyna. Are you ready to survive this season, Llareyna?
We're doing a good job by starting off very lightly because I do not do zombies well, and I think the fans know this by now. I think they're worried about me. They're probably not, but I'd like to think that they're worried about me.
They could be, some of them, in their cold, black undead hearts.
Yeah, somewhere deep down in there, they're like, "Oh, that poor girl."
Just like in Warm Bodies, just one little beat of that undead heart, for you, and that's about all you're going to get. So
yeah, well, these are Christmas zombie films, so that should warm up the cold dead heart just a little bit,
just a little. That's right, dear listeners. We've made it to zombie season. After thwarting the slashers and making our way safely back to Death Holler Inn, we barely had time to board over the windows and barricade the doors in preparation for the undead hordes that are creeping ever closer. We will start out with a history of the zombie next episode, but it's Christmas time, and what better way to celebrate the shambling horde of murderous last-minute shoppers than Christmas zombie films. Sadly, those films are not as prevalent as Christmas slashers, but we got at least one really good one for you, and a couple others that, well, they exist.
They exist.
So get the hot chocolate ready, board up the doors, and hope that old Kris Kringle isn't a flesh-eating monster as we cover Stalled and Anna and the Apocalypse. First up, if you're enjoying the podcast, we'd appreciate it if you would take the time to like, comment, and subscribe on whatever podcast platform you prefer. It helps us get more visibility on podcast listings and helps us grow. Also, consider following us on social media. You can find us on TikTok and Twitter under Death Holler Pod, and we can be found on Instagram and Facebook under Death Holler Podcast. We appreciate everyone who listens and hope you enjoy the show. let's attack some bees.
Ugh.
What is that? What is that? What is it? Oh, no, not the bees! Not the bees! Ah! Open my eyes!
I was screaming that at least once on one of these movies. So I've got a twofer for you here, a double bill. We got Silent Night, Zombie Night from 2009 and A Cadaver Christmas from 2011.
They both sound horrible.
They're varying degrees of horrible. First up, Silent Night, Zombie Night. Tagline: This Christmas, you are the holiday feast.
Nice.
Directed by Sean Kane, written by Sean Kane. Music by Mario Salvucci. Principal players, we have Jack Forcinito playing Frank Talbot, the cop with a cheating wife partner. And yes, they did choose the name Talbot, which is the last name of the main character in The Wolfman. I guess there's a nod there to that.
Okay.
Andy Hopper plays Nash Jackson, who's Frank's former friend and has the hots for his wife. He's also his partner as far as the, buddy cop duo goes. We have Nadine Stenovich playing Sarah Talbot. She's the hot wife. She's not a bad looker for a woman her age in this movie. I'll give her that. We have Lou Temple playing Jeffrey Hannigan, the unlucky next-door neighbor. And I'll bring up the fact that he was in The Walking Dead during the prison segment of that show, so he does have some zombie bona fides as far as that goes. And he was in The Devil's Rejects, so Lou's been in some horror projects other than this one.
What an interesting spelling of his name.
Yeah, it's not the way Lou, it's Lew. That's how what he goes by. It's probably a stage name of some kind. Or he just went, instead of Lewis, Lewis, he was just call me Lou, Lew. Might be that's going on.
Yeah.
We have Vernon Wells playing Paul Irwin, the zombie killer / survivor in the movie for a total of maybe 10 minutes. But that when you're talking about a guy who played in Mad Max, The Road Warrior and Weird Science back in the day, and he probably was, contacted by the people who made this movie when he was on one of his many rounds for these horror conventions.
Yeah.
They probably, he quoted his number. They're like, well, we can have you in the movie for about 10 minutes based upon that pay rate. And that's what we got.
Okay. Sometimes with these films, you got to work with what you've got.
It is interesting, though, because it's set in California, the movie is, and hearing Vernon Wells' distinctly Australian accent is kind of funny.
Well, that's the thing in California is we are a huge melting pot. You get everything out here. You really do.
Yeah. It didn't stand out so much since it was in California and you had that going on.
Yeah.
And then we have Felissa Rose playing Elsa Lansing, also another callback to the Universal Monsters in the sense that I believe the actress who played the Bride of Frankenstein's last name was Lansing, so that's kind of a throwback.
Okay.
She is also a zombie killer survivor that shows up at the same time Vernon Wells shows up. They're kind of in a traveling trio that's going around trying to find survivors. Of course, she was in Sleepaway Camp and Terrifier 2, which we covered.
Yes.
Repchild. It might be fun to watch for creature feature season. It's like a reptilian child that she has or somebody has that's around her. And of course, Victor Crowley, which we'll get back to in Slasher season part 2 whenever that happens.
Yeah, so. She's got quite a bill of films there.
She actually is in the movie a little bit longer, so I guess her contingencies were not as severe as Vernon Wells were. I'll go ahead and say it on this movie. This is an okay bottom grade zombie movie. You're getting one of those typical slice of life or unlife zombie movies where it's the outbreak happens, the survivors kind of hole up in, the best place they can. And it's them, trying to get through while the drama of the human interaction goes on. That's a big thing in zombie movies.
Oh yeah.
It's not so much the zombies, but the drama amongst the humans dealing with it that you're really seeing. It introduces a concept which is that they don't really elaborate on, and it's only in the movie for like a split second. They've got runners, and then they've got the slow moving Romero zombies.
Oh Jesus, I can't.
And there's one line in the movie where they say that the runners have some kind of parasite like attached to the base of their brain, so that they're stronger, they're speedier, and the other ones it doesn't really give any reason why they're different. But it's like a throwaway line that they throw in there to give like the distinction between the two of them. Very low budget, but that's what you get with a lot of zombie movies, and that's the reason there's so many zombie movies. And we'll get into a little bit more of the history of that. It even goes back to the original, voodoo or vodou zombies, however you want to say that. That studios realized it's like, let's slap some, white grease paint on their face, make them look a little bit, paler than normal, put some blood on their mouth. You're good to go. I mean, that's all you need. And they do it a little bit better than this one. They build their face up a little bit, make them a little bit more monstrous, but it's one of your run of the mills. The interesting thing in this one is that the three main characters are caught inside the house, and it's Frank, his wife, and then his partner Nash. And it turns out that, and at the beginning of the movie, there's some beef between Frank and Nash, even at the start of the movie, because whenever Nash is getting attacked by a zombie as they're patrolling like the South California streets, because it's set at Christmas, but it's California at Christmas, meaning it doesn't really feel like Christmas. We'll just put it that way. There's decorations up.
How dare you?
While they're
Noah made me record videos of some of the towns we've been into with the Christmas, and he's like, you show this to Sean, and you show him right.
You didn't show him the one we went to last night?
No, not yet.
Oh, you would love that place.
They look pretty good. Actually, it amazes me that y'all have that, going on, because like the Christmas season here, like barely anybody is decorating. I don't know if that's because of Biden inflation or whatever, but like there's hardly any up this year.
It could be. It's a zombie Christmas.
We get lucky too living in the valley, because it's a mixed culture. So if you just want to go up the hill for an old-fashioned Christmas tree,
that's
like
true.
An old-fashioned Christmas, it's an old-fashioned Christmas in a small town.
Yeah.
Yeah, they cut the streets off, put a bunch of burn barrels outside. They only did like one this year, but
And there's 2 burn barrels. We were good.
yeah, but they're nice ones. They put out a ton of heat. There's people walking around caroling.
But Southern California, like you said, you don't get that out there. No. Southern California doesn't have that. So you are spot on, Reverend. It does not feel like Christmas out there.
They had decorations up. That's the only thing that makes this a Christmas movie whatsoever. It doesn't even, there's not even the theme of a Christmas. In a Christmas movie, it's generally people come together, and they kind of realize the reason for the season. They come together in this movie in the sense that they're forced together.
Yeah.
But like I said, it turns out that Frank and Nash, his partner, have some kind of beef because it's assumed that Nash has been cheating with Frank's wife or whatever. They've been having this affair. So, and now that they're stuck together, they got to deal with that whole situation.
What's this movie called again?
Silent Night, Zombie Night. And for everybody who's so not familiar. Been a listener, this is Noah. Welcome.
Oh, dude, I'm hella high right now.
Noah!
I didn't think I would be. I took him last night and woke up. I was like, oh, dude.
That's what you get.
Well, it's been like a month since I had like an edible, so like it hit me hella hard.
The rest of the movie just plays out like a typical zombie movie. Lou Temple's like the next door neighbor who's kind of caught up in the attic, and it's revealed later that he had to kill his own son, and so he's dealing with that. And it's a lot of that stuff, but it's just a bottom of the barrel zombie movie. That's what you're getting with it. There's nothing stand out about it whatsoever.
When was it made?
2009. There was a lot of those coming out around that time period.
It had to have decent special effects, I imagine.
It was okay. It wasn't the worst I've seen in any of these type things.
It didn't look like it was filmed on a camcorder, did it?
No, but it had that cheap, independent movie look to it.
Yes,
I don't really.
They go for like a lot of pop color. It looks like, instead of having like, there's scenes for pop color, but those movies have a giant contrast in the color hue. Like it's not sharp. It's like fluffy in its look.
The thing that makes it more cheap than it could have been is the fact that the way that a lot of the movies cut, it's trying to be humorous a lot of times, and it's like it's kind of shaky and quick cuts, and it doesn't. I don't know. It just has a cheap feel to it because of it. It just doesn't really strike you as like this professional in any way, shape, or form, other than the special effects, which they do a decent job on in it, and that's where they put the budget at. Also watched, due to Noah's recommendation, a Cadaver Christmas.
Love that fucking movie, dude. I love it. The movie is exactly what it's supposed to be.
It is. It's a tagline: "Never leave a mess unclean." And if you watch the movie, you'll understand why. Because the main hero is a janitor, and he's just called the janitor.
He's a badass janitor. I think that's the same dude from Orgasmo and Basketball.
Orgasmo?
Yeah, and basketball.
I remember that. Oh, I love basketball.
It does kind of look like the kid who's like being beat up or picked upon by the guys in basketball, even if it's not him. It looks like it.
Oh, it's not. Yeah, I was looking at him. I was like, he looks so familiar. Then I put my finger on it the other day. I didn't see if it was the same guy, but I was like, man, he looks super close.
Directed by Joe Zarul, written by Daniel Reardon Hale, who plays the janitor, Hanlon Smith Dorsey, who plays the depressed drunk in the movie, and a dumbass, and then Joe Zarul himself. So kind of it's one of those just a group of guys got together and let's make a zombie movie type things. Music by William Campbell. Now this movie, before I get into the principal players of this one, it was night and day better than Silent Night, Zombie Night, because it did that thing where it was kind of trying to bank off of Grindhouse. Where it had a Planet Terror like filter applied to it, where it looked like the film was very old, very damaged, had like the little pock marks in it as it was like running the entire time, which I guess some people might not like because it's kind of distracting, but at the same time it covers up the cheesiness of the film. But to give them credit, it doesn't look as independently made as what it could have been. It actually has some decent contrast in the lighting and all that stuff. So they did a decent job with that. They played up the pulp action and the comedy more in this one to offset the fact that it's kind of a goofy premise. So it kind of helps that way too. Daniel Reardon Hale plays the janitor, who's our unwilling hero. Hanlon Smith Dorsey plays Tom Tannenbaum, who's the depressed drunk who it's revealed at the end of the movie. They actually give him a little bit of a arc. It was like he was going to actually off himself this year at Christmas but the fact that he got thrown in with a janitor actually, like it gave him a reason to live. So, I mean, it's got that is actually the Christmassy part of it. That's where, I mean, it's set at Christmas, but, and the reason they call it a Cadaver Christmas is because the main character, the janitor, refuses to call them zombies. He keeps calling them cadavers, and they're like, it's moving. It's not alive. It's a zombie. And he's like, it's a cadaver, like the entire movie. Like that's all he'll call them.
Oh my God. I feel like people in zombie movies, if they don't call them zombies, they're like, okay, well, we don't call them zombies. We're not acknowledging it, so they're not zombies, but they're zombies.
It's a female.
They even acknowledge in this movie that like zombies, the zombie lore. It's like you got to shoot them in the head and all that stuff. It's everything, but he won't admit it. Is basically what's going on.
Yeah.
Yash Hayashi plays Sam Sheriff, which is funny because he's just a police officer, but his last name's Sheriff.
Oh my God.
And he's not part of the force anymore. And they played up as like a comedy thing. Like he lost his partner and he starts describing his partner and talking about how beautiful she was and what a nice bark she had. So you realize he was a canine cop.
Well, in the beginning, when he first started telling the story, you didn't realize it was a dog because he was telling you as a human. You're like, oh, wow, dude. And all of a sudden he drops it. The whole thing changes. And you're like, it was a dog.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Ben Hopkins plays Eddie, the bar owner. He's just kind of there for somebody to die. I mean, really, he doesn't really serve much of a purpose. Jessica Denny plays Kristen Stable, the school security. She's kind of got a funny couple moments in the movie because everybody who tries to call and tell her that the zombies are there, like she's supposed to be the one that triages to the local police, and she's just like, and she basically just puts them off, like, and tells them that, that they need to stay where they're at, and, and all that sort of stuff. Basically, not doing a damn thing.
Well, there's a part in the movie where she tries to call the cops, and then it routes her to her hub.
What the hell?
and the moment she calls, she realizes, she's like, fuck.
Oh my God.
And then we have rounding out the cast, Andrew Ryan Harvey, who plays the perp, and I call him more like the perv. Two things about this guy: he's a sheep fucker, which is established early in the movie. Just like Juan Castillo in Club Dread, although he fucked goats, so there's a little bit of difference.
Oh, okay. Which one's better?
I don't know. But the other thing this guy does, he fucks a zombie.
Yeah,
he
does.
straight up fucks a zombie in this movie.
Did she look like one of the zombie strippers that you guys talk about all the fucking time?
I'm telling you, this movie is Christmas all over it. This is like a Christmas cult classic to me, just for the fact of all those things, and it's still a Christmas movie.
Yeah, they got the lights up. They've got like it's playing into the fact of, the drunk is actually, getting a reason to live. It's kind of got that heartwarming moment at the end. Talking about the perp and whenever he has the zombie sex moment, the way they do it in the movie is it keeps cutting between what the corpse looks like, which actually is like this charred body, and then back to what he thinks it is in his mind, because he sees everything as something he can fuck, apparently, and it's this woman with these big breasts that he's just going to Pound Town on. It's
Oh my God.
Yeah, but it doesn't look like a corpse. It looks like a hot girl to him.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Did he at least pour Listerine on his dick like that one fucking movie?
Fuck no, because she looks.
He raw dogs.
Yeah.
He raw dogs.
Oh my God.
She can't be that dead.
Given the Nick Cage rating of this movie, Silent Night, Zombie Night gets the title of Stolen, which is a little-known action-oriented film with generally nothing to recommend about it for zombie junkies only. A Cadaver Christmas, I'm going to give Renfield because it's campy, but it's action-packed horror comedy, and it's enjoyable to watch. And that's all you can ask for in these like low-budget zombie movies. They're just fun, they do that.
They went exactly what the movie should have went for. Like it's fucking silly, but it's Christmassy, and it's zombies, and there's some jump parts, very, very minor. Like Reyna gets scared at a couple parts.
Yeah,
I like the story they give behind the origin of the zombies. It's like this, professor in the biology department is trying to, find a cure for his wife's like brain disorder. And what he ends up like finding this parasite that might have some kind of like use in like, brain tissue, but it ends up, of course, backfiring on him, and it just basically creates zombies is what happens. But it's they didn't have to go that route with explaining them, but it was a nice little addition to the movie.
Yeah, it put the why did this happen onto the map, and it did a good job of explaining it.
Speaking of creating zombies, I have to ask you guys. I keep saying this at work, and everyone's like, you're fucking crazy. And maybe I am. But do you think that Mounjaro, Ozempic, and all these other drugs are how the zombie apocalypse starts?
It's funny you say that, and I mean, we can review this at some point this season, like throw it in somewhere. There is an episode of the show Sliders, which that was a great show back in the day.
Yeah, it was.
But there's an episode of it where they go to a zombie apocalypse world, and it's basically what you're talking about. There was a weight loss drug that everybody took, and it ended up being like this parasite, and the parasite caused them to basically start starving to the point that they had to have, fat, because they were ate the fat, and so they had to have more, and so they were going around eating other people's body fat to survive, and that's how they set it up.
That's a hella good explanation,
What's a
actually.
Different twist on eating ass.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess if you're like Cardi B or one of those, you better watch the fuck out if that's the scenario. You're going to be first in that zombie apocalypse.
Oh, yeah, because they're injecting fat. Some of them
No,
have
they're
implants.
actually injecting fat?
Yeah, it's a BBL is taking fat from other parts of the body and putting it in one.
I thought once you kind of remove fat from an area, it has a hard time growing back because
it won't grow back,
structure.
but they're putting it in. They do something to, I guess, refine it.
I know, but I'm just thinking if you're cutting fat off of certain areas, I don't think fat has the ability to grow back like when you cut it from.
correct. So if they were to gain weight, that area would have a fucking indent.
Yeah,
that'd be rough.
Yeah,
it's a whole fucking weird thing that they do, and it's just so that they can, plump up their ass or whatever part of their body they're trying to, get
What
more
happens
fat
when you
into.
get to the first ability to genetically modify and something that attacks fat cell structures on your body, so your body doesn't absorb extra calories or whatever? Because once you cut that stuff
that's
off,
when you get the zombie apocalypse. I
Yeah.
guarantee you that's when you get it.
because if you could figure out a way to attack all those different fat structures on the skin, the epidermis, it like code something to do it, like genetically, your body technically wouldn't be holding on to extra calories or anything.
this is how the zombie apocalypse
So what?
starts.
You just eat, and then your body's like, we don't need any of this, and you just shit the same thing back out, like unprocessed. I'm trying to wrap my head around it.
Well, that's one way it could work, because there's actually a pill that does that. And
Oh, really?
And yeah, it's one of the old names for it was Orlistat, and it was basically you took it, and then if you ate like a very fat heavy meal, then you would basically just shit out grease is what it amounts to. And I mean, and they describe in detail anal leakage is what they say, with it. So
Holy shit.
The commercials, them promoting that. What's the product called?
it was Orlistat. I think it might go by a different name now.
It's
But
a dude running in the field. Like, I love my Orlistat. And anal leakage is very minimal. And he pulls around, he's wearing diapers, and you can solve the problem with this.
Man pawns, you just stick like a tampon in the
there's
butt
just
crack.
a grease stain in his white, shorts that he's wearing or whatever.
God. The amount of people dropping like insane amount of weight around me is alarming. That for years or even close to a decade, they couldn't drop 5 pounds.
They're not
let
doing it
alone
naturally.
50. No, understandably, they're not. They're doing.
Crush my stomach so my fat ass can't overeat. Yeah, that's what
they're getting the surgery, and I feel like Ozempic and Mounjaro are working way better.
Mounjaro's a beast at making you lose weight. It's just, because it destroys your appetite. Like you literally don't have one. I mean,
that's what I'm saying. It's the only way to do it.
Every customer I've ever had that's been on it basically explained to me that it's not like they just don't have an appetite. It's not like they have to force themselves to eat. They just don't. They have to remind themselves.
Yeah,
to eat.
that's fucking
that's
wild.
what happens.
Did they have any energy?
Yeah, they're fine. I mean,
It's got to be it's basically speed is what it sounds like. High end pharmaceutical grade speed.
It's not what it actually is there's actually a part of your pancreas that does this, but I don't know. But this is like way more refined. So there's a hormone that comes out. And sorry, everybody, for this explanation. I know you're here for zombies, but whatever.
This is how the zombie apocalypse starts. You need to know this, okay?
Training videos.
There's a hormone that comes out at the same time that insulin is released, and it's
Pancreatic
juice. It's not that one.
Okay.
I'm blanking on the name. It's early in the morning, but anyways, it is released at the same time as insulin, and it's supposed to make you feel full. It is damaged in a lot of diabetics. It doesn't come out in the right amount, so they don't feel full. And some people who are heavier or whatever, it's either a combination of the vagal nerve doesn't work to signify to their brain that they're full, or this hormone doesn't come out. But this drug is that hormone, or it stimulates that, so your body's like, I'm full, I don't need to eat. And it's like,
I understand that, but where does the energy come from? Because if you're suppressing your appetite, you're pulling from your reserves.
You're eating your own fat, and you're using that for your energy, and that's why they're losing weight, is because their body's like, all right, you're not eating, so I'm going to have to burn the fat that I've stored up all these years.
Yeah, but
that's why it's doing that.
It's a parasite.
Well, no, but even then, like, you'll make you lethargic.
You still have to eat, Noah. Like, they're still eating.
I know, but it takes more energy for your body to process available energy from the reserve than it does to process food. And food has other stuff, phytonutrients, macro profiles.
I don't know what to tell you, but my cousin yesterday looked perfectly fine. She didn't look tired, no bags on her eyes.
I learned that, but how long has she been doing it for?
Over a year now.
There was probably a rough adjustment period.
Maybe, yeah. So.
It's not as bad as you think, just because, a lot of people don't realize they've got enough. I'm one of them. You got enough fat stores, and your body can make the brain only needs sugar to run, and it can make sugar out of fat, and it will if it has to. That's the reason metformin is a drug, because it shuts that down to a certain degree, But anyways, it's like,
It's
but they do have to have vitamins, but you know, they're eating enough to get those in a lot of cases.
I just worry about it because your brain's a huge consumer of calories. You think when you enter a calorie deficit, like you get that brain fog. I wonder if it's like that until your body finally has the realization, hey, we got to start burning what we have. And then after your body converts over to start running on the available fuel it has, I wonder if it's able to make a surplus of calories that are sufficient for the daily use.
The only negative I could see is that whenever you start switching over to burning more fat to your own internal fat to get rid of to get energy, you start having ketosis, which is where you have a lot of ketones built up in your blood. It's a little bit more acidic, and then you start having some of the side effects from that. But I mean that's that's generally feeling like you have the flu for like a little bit until your body gets used to it. Is what it amounts to.
And this is your daily Death Holler lesson in zombie anatomy.
Speaking of
hold on,
things
do
that
you see
make
how
you
easy it is to explain how a zombie virus happened with that? But like, we didn't really think too hard. You had no information. I just had a couple questions, and then we came up with a legitimate why the zombie thing happened.
And I had a question.
I'm just saying.
Going back on the Orlistat thing and talking about shitting, let's talk about our first movie for the day.
Perfect for shitting.
The movie Stalled, 2013. Tagline: He's in the perfect place to be scared shitless.
Okay, so far these taglines are fucking killing it. Even the
Zombie
B films.
Zombie movies have some pretty good ones.
Yeah,
they generally do. Directed by Christian James, written by Dan Palmer, music by Guy Bevier. Budget, I don't know. Box office, I don't know, because this was so low budget. I don't think it actually got a release. I think it was like direct-to-video type thing.
Okay.
Principal players, we have Dan Palmer, the guy who wrote the movie, playing WC, our lone hero, janitor. There you go, the janitor's coming back. So there's a link. Perv, going back to the perp, and he's the bad son, as it's revealed in the movie. He just don't call his mom and don't really associate with her, and it's Christmas, and that's a bad thing, folks. He was in the short Dead Air, Freak Out, Fanged Up, and My Bloody Banjo, which sounds hilarious.
He was in Dead Air?
It's a short
That's
film.
what it said, but it was like a short film.
It's not a short film. It's like a miniseries.
Okay. There might be multiples though, so I would.
There is. I think America ended up doing one. America or Australia, I forgot, somebody else copied the idea.
Antonia Burnett plays Heather, the butt of the office jokes.
Big butt of the office jokes.
Yeah, but she's for the longest time in the movie, you don't even know if she's real. I thought
she was fake.
Yeah, I thought that she was something that he made up to kind of deal with the fact that he was by himself. She's actually a voice actress. She was, especially in video games, she's done The Witcher 3, Hitman 2, Star Wars Battlefront 2, the video game Control, and Evil West is another one she's done. Mark Holden plays Jeff. He's from IT, and he's got a plan, folks. Until he gets a finger flinged into his throat, and then he doesn't. I mean,
that was so dumb.
He was in Final Destination, World War Z, which he actually did the same year he did this movie.
Wow.
So that's kind of weird. Haunted, Killer Bees.
What is that? What is that? What is it? Oh, no, not the bees! Not the bees!
And he's a voice actor as well in a bunch of video games. Homefront, The Revolution, Battlefield 1, Ghost Recon, Wildlands, amongst many others. Tamron Payne plays Evie, the office hottie / mean girl. She's also a voice actress. There's a theme here, folks.
Oh, yeah.
Baldur's Gate 3 and Divinity Original Sin 2. Victoria Broom plays Holly, the office hoe, inebriated bisexual. And Sarah Suzanne Biggins, and she's got some biggins, playing Debbie, the infected hoe, likes the freaky stuff.
Real quick, Evie, so by Tamron, did you think she sounded just like Antonia, or Heather, I should say? I thought their voices were identical. I was like, is this the same fucking girl?
Yeah, they sounded very similar, and it made me and it made me wonder if the voice for one was being used as a stand-in for the other, and the other one was just and they were counting them like physically, but not necessarily their voice in those. And as far as the credits goes,
Yeah, and the funny thing about it though is that I looked up Antonia, who played Heather the heifer, and she's actually skinny, so they had her in a fat suit.
oh, for sure they did.
Yeah,
because
that
I've
was
seen
it.
pictures
That
of her
was a given.
too.
Yeah.
You get to tell by looking at it from the backside.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, that doesn't look real.
Synopsis, folks. It is Christmas Eve, and a janitor is trying to clean the women's bathroom while an office party is raging nearby. During the course of the evening, the janitor enters one of the stalls to take care of some business, and before he can finish, two women from the party enter the bathroom. Not wanting to be accused of anything and unwilling to give up the opportunity to be a little bit pervy, he watches as the two inebriated hoes get a little freaky, like really freaky, as in one of them was bit by a delivery guy and is now a zombie. The zombie apocalypse rages through the building, and the lone janitor does his best to fend off the horde from his solitary bathroom stall. Will he make it out of the bathroom alive? Is the woman in the stall 2 doors over real or only in his head? Why is there so much money in the janitor's toolbox? Fingers are flying, the IT guy is dying, and old Nokia-style phones can survive anything. When there's no restroom in hell, the dead will walk the earth. I love that tagline. Some quotes, literally just a couple. Jeff from IT, right, let's get this show on the road. WC accidentally causes him to be overwhelmed, and Heather's like, I guess we're not getting the show on the road then.
Yeah, Heather's one-liners were actually pretty good.
And then WC surrounded by the undead in the phone booth. I need the toilet.
Yes.
Oh, dude. That was such a fucked deal.
It's a perfect last line for the movie. After he's gotten out of the toilet, he's made his way outside, and then he's surrounded. You know, it's just like, I need the toilet. Like, literally, I'm about to shit myself now.
Well, I was thinking when he got out, like, bruh, you might just want to get to where you're going because, first off, you're lucky you walked out to an empty area when you fucking called the police, and the police had a fucking zombie dispatcher.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you get some of these movies and the main character, and it's actually appropriate for the second movie we're talking about. The main character is very oblivious to what's going on. I mean,
no, in his defense, he came out. There was nothing there.
Yes, but like, don't get comfortable. I would not be comfortable.
But he was trying to call his mom.
Fuck his mom. No, just kidding.
He probably had an epiphany when he was in the bathroom getting ready to die.
I know,
like,
he
maybe
did.
I need to reach out.
I gotta call my mom, and I was surprised she was alive because I was expecting her to be dead.
That's where the Christmassy part of it comes in. He realizes family is important.
If you really think about it, how many places in Europe, not Europe, I should say the UK, actually have a phone booth still?
Yeah, that was 2013 when this was made.
Yeah, that's like by then everybody had a cell phone.
Well, I mean, even he had it. Well, he had Heather's cell phone. He stole it.
Well, I wonder if by law they got to keep those things still up. I imagine. I don't know.
They have a few quite a bit more than we do, I think, because for whatever reason, Doctor Who, like, people are over there very nostalgic for them, so they keep them up for that.
Oh my God, that is so funny.
Could you imagine if they had one of those phone booths in like Union Square in San Francisco? Like how much that thing would be used as a toilet? As
a toilet. Yeah, they don't need it to be a toilet. They'll turn it into a toilet.
Just put a bucket in there and just run the phone booth and shit.
Reverend, have you ever seen those toilets that you go into? You put in like, I think it's $0.25 or 50 cents, and it's a whole locked bathroom, and it opens, the door slides open. It's like a whole machine. You walk in, and you have X amount of minutes to use the toilet, like 30 seconds to wash your hands, which I don't even think that's enough to sing happy birthday.
You basically got to pay.
Yeah, you have to pay. And then it kicks you out, and then the whole thing washes itself. Have you ever seen or been in one of those?
I've seen something like that. They've got those that they're promoting in like some of the bigger cities, especially in like the UK, where they're pop-up like bathrooms that are like that, and it's like, that's weird. That's fucking weird.
No, this isn't a pop-up. It's a legit.
Yeah, well, San Francisco had one.
I'm talking about these things actually patrol the streets. Like they move down the street and like you walk into them. Like, you know.
Oh shit! No, this is a big one.
It's a stationary one.
Yeah, and
but it's like locked to the ground.
Yeah.
You gotta
I wonder
pay-
what
you
happened, though,
gotta
because I
pay.
don't think it's in San Francisco anymore.
I know, but you got to pay to use it, which to me, that's fine.
Yeah.
If you're going to set a barrier to entry, it's
And
immediately going to kick out.
it's sanitized every time you use it. Now, San Francisco had this way before what
there's
it's
like
going through
10
now.
years ago. or
Yeah.
more.
It's fucking wild. I think me and you went in one together, huh? We're
Yeah.
like, it's just hella quick. Like, okay, you go, no, you go. And we're like running to get shit done,
But
washing our hands at the same
it
time.
solves the homeless issue.
It does. It solves the homeless going in and
give a
shitting
private
all over
company
your-
the ability to buy and set up the fucking stuff, and they can collect the revenue and maintain it. It keeps the city.
It'd
from
also
not
be
doing it.
actually no, it wouldn't be safe because it stays. Oh no, it doesn't stay open. Somebody has to pay to get into it. So that'd be a good place to lock up for a zombie apocalypse until somebody pays to get in there, and then you're fucked.
I would not want to be locked in a shitter for the apocalypse. You must have lost your mind.
Yeah, that main character proves that's not a good place to be. Which they
How was
take
the
some
phone
liberties.
booth?
They take some liberties with that because unless the bathroom stalls are built better than they are in the United States, and they could be, the ones over here barely keep people out as is. I mean, even whenever you got them, like, you know, and they're not trying to beat down the door to get to you.
No, the latches barely are aligned. when you go
Yeah.
use it.
Yeah, like, I mean, I've been in some where literally you got to hold your hand on the latch or it'll
Yeah.
come open. I mean,
It always looks like Van Damme has been in our bathrooms.
the real question is, have you either of you used an actual outhouse at any point in your life?
I still do, buddy, when we go camping.
You don't even use an outhouse. That's a bush, Noah.
Whatever. Sometimes you got to take a
Whatever.
shit. You don't want to shit in front of everybody. You
Yeah,
use the
well,
outhouse.
we have shat in the open. I've never been in an outhouse, but we have those fucking porta potties, which is I'd rather have an outhouse than a porta potty.
Yeah, like when we used to do the chive stuff, and you went there. There's no bathroom, so you just went out behind where all these hundreds of people were. You dug a small hole and you just shit and buried it when you were done.
Mm-hmm.
Kids were doing it and everything.
Yeah. We would dig a hole, and that was our shit hole.
My grandma, whenever I was a kid, didn't actually have indoor plumbing. She got it later, but like she actually had an outhouse. So I've actually used a legit outhouse before.
You sound like it.
It's a legit wooden one. Been in the family for-
Wooden one had like the little moon carved
Yeah.
into the outside door.
What
you know,
is
the
with
whole
the
thing.
moon? What is the deal with
Because everybody
that?
gets to shit at night.
I would not want to be in an outhouse during a zombie apocalypse.
You know what the big question is?
The Sears
hold on.
catalog that's in there,
How-
so that you can wipe your ass with.
Yeah.
I mean,
How I don't know if I've ever done that.
some of them come with corn cobs, and you don't want to be in those.
No.
I'm just curious, how long has this shit house been in the family for?
That thing's been, well, I don't even know if it's still on her property, if it's like, but I mean, it'd been there, you know, I mean, at least since, I mean, probably the 50s. I
Does
mean,
it
probably,
get cleaned, or
you
does
know.
it just?
No, it just leaches into the earth.
I mean,
You gotta
it's-
you gotta set up a
it's-
leach field when you do like an
Yeah.
like a setup like
yeah,
that.
there's all kinds of like composting type stuff you got to do to like make sure
Okay.
that it doesn't.
composting,
you
I
know.
can understand, but that's yeah.
Well, like I said, there's probably a leach field. So as
Yeah.
it goes, organic matter stays and dries out and does whatever, and then all the actual liquid runoff goes out to like a leach field away from the house, and you can use it for, like you said, like flower beds and shit like that. I don't
Yeah.
know exactly how it works, but
But it works.
All right, let's talk about this movie here. Visually, what do you think about it? I mean, it's clearly an independent movie.
Oh
It's-
yeah, it's you can tell it's a low budget film, but I give them credit because I really feel like they did decent with like the wounds, the blood, the look of the zombies were okay because I've seen worse.
I've seen way worse.
I've seen way worse. I think they did with whatever budget they had. I think they did pretty fucking good.
Yeah, I mean, and to be fair to them, the setting where it's set inside of a bathroom stall and the lighting in the movie being as flat as it is and have that halogen light effect doesn't really take away. I mean, because he's in a bathroom and that's what it would kind of look like.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it just doesn't have a movie look to it. Is the worst part about it.
And what was pretty bad is whoever was holding the camera, especially when they were in the second stall where the hoochie zombie was, they were not very good filming. They were like bouncing the camera left to right to left to right, and I don't know. I was just like, what the hell?
Yeah, who knows what went through their head whenever they were filming that, because it's almost like it was a choice, but like I don't know what it was supposed to represent,
Yeah.
you know, in that sense.
No, but there was other scenes where he was being filmed, you know, probably either where the zombies were at from that angle, or from above, and way better camera angles / stability. So
That, yeah, they, to make up for the fact that they had the single location, the single character, you know, and then the static shots or whatever, they when they could, they were trying to do almost the Sam Raimi effect, where they were trying to get weird angles, you know, kind of move the camera around a little bit more, and that might have been what they were trying to do in that one bathroom scene.
yeah, that makes
I will
sense.
give them this. That scene where he's fishing for his phone and the toilet's just like filled with all the blood and nastiness. That's pretty gross.
Yeah, I can't believe that girl's still alive. I mean, it looked like a fucking gut slushy in there.
That's one thing that I don't like about some of these zombie movies is they're a little bit too, they don't establish what actually takes the zombies out very well in some of these low budget ones. It's like you get like a wound that should, by all accounts, like have destroyed the brain, and they're still moving, and it's like, okay, what is it going to take this monster out? Like, I mean, Return of the Living Dead give, at least in part 2, establishes that electricity is what kills them. You can't take the head off in that movie, but electricity is what takes them out, and it works whenever they figure it out.
Yeah.
But in this one, he does kind of, I mean, now it's through the back of the throat, so maybe it didn't hit the brain whatsoever, and I kind of get that, but he was mashing her head in quite a bit too. Like, how did that not do enough damage to do anything?
The thing that gets me is he puts his hand in the toilet and everything, and it looks like just full of all this nasty stuff. But where did all that stuff come from?
Yeah, because her head is intact.
Well, her head's intact, and then the other thing is, I don't know how he didn't get bit in that scene, because that's what I'm thinking of whenever he pulls his hand back out. She's almost attached to his hand.
No, she bites him in the arm, but the sleeve, she doesn't bite through it.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah.
The other guy does bite him, but
yeah.
he's got false teeth or something.
That was hilarious.
And that's the reason you should survive the zombie apocalypse in Appalachia, because, you know, less teeth means less bites. Just saying.
Oh.
All right. The story of this one, pretty simple.
Yeah.
It's Christmas, office party. I do think it's kind of funny when he's like perving on the two women. Although the thing is like, if he's going to be sitting there watching them, like, why couldn't he? I mean, bathroom stalls, again, in the U.S., maybe not over there, there's such a hole like that you could see through in them that, like, I mean, he could easily been looking through the stall itself instead of like trying to peek over the top. Like, I kept waiting for him to get caught. Like, I mean, I'm
me
like,
too.
how are they not seeing you back there?
He was doing the most.
You know what would have made this movie really good if they made one modification, and that's when he's in the beginning and he goes into the woman's bathroom to, I don't work on the speaker, or I don't quite know. It never quite explains.
Maintenance, clean the bathroom, I don't know.
But he goes in there and he pulls the rat out and it falls down. Now that you know the end of the story, the money's stolen, wouldn't it be better if he had like a hidden camera in there that's just been filming like the inside of that thing?
Make him much more of a perv or something.
Yes, and it would explain, it would give him the reason that he was in the woman's bathroom.
Yeah, that's true. Well, he's a janitor. Janitors are always, that's why he knocked before he went in, because they have to knock before they clean.
But he went in there to pull his hidden camera out before he left with the money.
That would have been interesting. It would have also been cool. Like, I thought you were going this route when the rat fell, if they tied that in as being the cause of the zombie apocalypse.
Yeah,
like,
I was thinking the same thing.
Or something.
Yeah, some kind of marker on it or something.
The scene was hilarious where the rat kept coming out and biting him in the dick. Which was a dream sequence for anyone who's not going to watch this film.
Yeah, but the rest of the story is just him kind of, you know, stalled, literally. I mean, you know, he's in a bathroom stall, can't go anywhere. It's also, I guess, a metaphor for his life, because he's not really doing anything with his life either. I mean, that's what he describes to, you know, Heather the heifer. You know, he's just kind of caught in, you know, like this part of his, you know, that he's not. He went to university for a bit, but then dropped out, and it's the whole thing's, you know, plays into the name stalled, which is kind of, you know, interesting.
Yeah.
I like the concept that he comes up with of trying to bust through the wall to get into the ducts in between or whatever.
Yeah.
Even though it didn't work out for him, because whenever he actually got to the next room over, it was loaded with zombies, and they actually had a way after him at that point.
Yeah.
I didn't. The problem is knowing a little bit how shit's designed. There's no studs in the wall. When you knock the hole in the wall to go over, every 6 to 8 feet you're gonna have a stud. And I think on metal buildings where they're metal framed in like that, they're even smaller.
Yeah, that was something that kind of bothered me a little bit about that too. But at the same time, it was like I can imagine a building like somehow, not being up to code either, like for certain things, just because, I mean, some of these corporations pay enough people off to where they can, kind of skirt the corners and not really do what they're supposed to do when it comes to that sort of thing.
Could he not have gone through the tiles through this in the ceiling?
He probably could have, although they're very flimsy. Like,
I know, those are.
No, like since it's like metal, it's not metal structural. It's metal just holding those things together.
So
it's made out of the bullshit pie tin they use for they don't use wood studs in a lot of those buildings. They use metal studs because they're aluminum or tin or whatever the fuck. They're hella flimsy, but they're cheap. But they
but you can't walk across those. But isn't there areas maybe along the sides that are more stable that he might have been able to?
But that's what I'm saying. The studding, the wall structure is all made of that bullshit stuff. So it's not designed to really support weight. All that's done by all the beams in the building. So those things are just strictly like you get a running start, you're not going to hole in the fucking wall of like an office building because there ain't shit.
Oh yeah.
It's not like in your house when you're trying to run through some sheetrock with some wooden studs. You come to a screeching halt when you hit it.
And then you're probably going to be having a concussion later.
Yes. Office buildings are hella chicken shit. Keep that in mind if you're ever in the zombie apocalypse. Office walls are chicken shit. You get a good fucking 2 fucking 3 run start, you'll blast right through it.
We don't even have walls in our office.
Yeah, that's how chicken shit office walls are.
Except if you work in a pharmacy like I do, and then you, they reinforce that shit so that you can't get, people stealing from you.
So
that's
the people coming for the
place to bunker down.
Yeah.
If you've got access to food, that's a good place to bunker down, honestly, because you can pull the gate down. It's meant to keep people out, so it'll keep the zombies out. It's a pretty good idea.
We have a best and a worst place we could go. But everybody would want to go to in our neighborhood, and then it would attract more crowds, which would create more zombies, and that would be the Costco right next to our house.
Yeah,
insulin,
that'd be the last
water, food.
Go.
I know it sucks because it's there. It's a good fucking strong building to get people.
That's where you go after the first wave of people got wiped the fuck out because whoever's there they died, and there's probably plenty of resources left.
And a little tip for people who don't know, because I've worked in grocery store setting before. There's actually the back loading dock. They usually have storage that you can only get to by a ladder. So if nothing else, I mean, if the shit hits the fan and every part of the building gets invaded, you can at least hold up, on the upper part of that if you can't get away from anywhere else. I mean, it's pretty much everywhere I've ever been like that they've had that kind of thing going on because they keep like some of the other stuff up top and you have to go up there and get it.
That's where Kayla found that dead body, or the paramedics. They had to go get a dead body that was on top of a grocery store. They're not sure how it got up there, but by the time they got to it, it was all bloated and gassy and leaking.
Bruh.
Probably ready to rupture at any moment. I don't know if that's how I've seen the killer whales explode on the fucking beach.
Nice.
From being bloated. Do humans do that? Because that'd be cool.
I don't think there's not
enough gas.
Okay.
Well, it's a ratio of like tension to gas building. Like wells got a shit ton of blubber. So when they start to expand in a lot of thick, dense muscle. So for that gas not to be able to vent on those things, you guys have built a lot of pressure.
A lot of fucking gas. This person was up on the roof during the summer.
Acting in this movie. What do you think about that?
Actually, it wasn't bad at all. Like this film was very low budget, and I was expecting cheesy acting.
Yeah, it wasn't like, I mean, they weren't going to win any awards for it.
No.
I mean, and they played it for comedy, which helps because if you play it serious but you're bad at it, then people are laughing for the wrong reason. But I feel like WC was cheesy, but he was humorous, so it worked.
Yeah.
Heather was really good.
Oh,
the voice actress.
The voice actress was amazing.
And then the zombies were doing their thing. I mean, you hire people for like a couple of bucks a day or whatever, just slather them with zombie makeup and let them just wander around doing whatever. But there are movies I've seen where the zombies don't even act that well, and that gets real bad, bad. Music, there's not really. I didn't notice it. I mean, other when the speaker came on for like a brief second.
Yeah, They had an instrumental that was a dance song.
Well, and they played it like, I mean, they did like pump it up a little bit whenever like any kind of like major scene was happening. That kind of pulse thumping music or whatever, to kind of amp up the tension, which was okay. It worked for the scenes, but it wasn't anything that stood out.
No, but it also wasn't music that when it turned on, you were like, this does not fit the scene.
No, it wouldn't.
So someone. Oh, go ahead.
It wasn't like a Japanese movie where you're sitting there watching a scary scene and it's like you've got this sweet voice. Well, not even that. Like, I mean, that would be one thing, but we have like this sweet voice, like Japanese pop singer singing some love ballad. It's like, oh, it's like, what is this? This doesn't fit.
What are you doing?
They're bad for that.
I
will say this though. They nailed the fucking music in Godzilla -1. Go watch that movie, and that music is amazing in that.
I keep hearing really good things about that movie.
What is it? It's Godzilla -1?
Godzilla -1.
Is it like a legit movie?
Yeah.
Oh, it is awesome, man. It is the best Godzilla movie I've ever seen.
Everyone is saying that. Everyone who I've seen post about it is saying it's the best Godzilla movie they've ever seen. I've not seen one.
And here's the thing. This should show Hollywood, how bad they are at what they do. The movie was supposedly made for $15 million. Looks fucking amazing. Like the effects for Godzilla. I mean, they're a little janky in some parts, but they look amazing in others. They talked to the creator of the movie. He said, I wish I had $15 million to have made that movie. So they made that movie for even less than that, and it still looks amazing. That means that Marvel and Star Wars and anything Disney related, get your fucking act together. If you need $300 million to make a movie and it still looks like shit, you fucked up somewhere. You're paying your actors too much. I don't know. It's not that
the movies don't look like shit. The movies got horrible fucking writing.
Well, they really do have bad writing, but the effects are getting bad in them too. Now, I mean, the newer ones have some shoddy special effects in them.
Wait till they start using AI. It's going to make it a lot better.
Yeah. Might make the writing better too, because I feel like it's being written by AI at this point. All right. Trivia for this one. We have actor Mark Holden, who plays Jeff from IT. Like I said, starred in 2 zombie movies in the same year, this and World War Z. Kind of weird. I mean, one's very big budget and the other one's not. And then that's all I really have for this movie, because there wasn't much to say about it otherwise.
I mean,
what do we want to say about this one? It is very low budget. But I feel like for the concept, it's an interesting one that's not been done before.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like between just Noah alone, I have seen so many low-budget zombie films, so I really wasn't expecting anything from this one, and I was genuinely surprised. It was enjoyable. It still got me. The jump scares were good enough for me, but that's not saying anything at all. At all. Even Noah was like, are you okay? What the fuck are you jumping for? Like, you know me. You've been married to me for how long now? I don't like zombie movies. So I'd say they did a good job. If I don't jump at your zombie film, if I don't get scared in your zombie film is shit. Dead ass. I am not joking.
Dead ass.
Like, yeah, I'm serious. If your zombie film doesn't make me jump or gasp at least once, it's shit.
See, I do like the tension that ramps up in them. I'm different from you. I get more from the tension of like they're caught in a place. How are they going to get out? And that tension building, which this actually did in a couple of places. That's what I look for as far as the scare part of it. Because like the zombie jump scares, I'm kind of immune to them. They are what they are. But I also come to these movies looking for, kind of like a little bit more. Like, are they using the characters to kind of like talk about anything relative to culture, politics? Because some of the better ones always do that. Like they always bring something up. and we'll kind of discuss those as we go along. This one, I think it kind of, the overall theme to this one is just that feeling of loneliness that people get at the holidays is what they were trying to go for. I mean, the guy's literally by himself. He doesn't have a family to speak of. He's basically grown apart from his own mother. I mean, that's actually a pretty appropriate theme or background thing to discuss for a Christmas movie, because this is the time of year, I mean, as sad as it is, when more people commit suicide because of those things.
That's true.
I mean, and it's, you know, it's an appropriate theme. I'm not going to say it's a great theme. It's an appropriate theme for that type of movie, if that's what you're going to bring into it. But I mean, and I thought it was okay for an independent movie. I like the concept, although I still think the entire time I was like, God, these bathroom stalls barely, even lock. I don't know how he's keeping anything out of it.
Yeah, I mean, I was just going with the fact that the zombies are just dumb, which would make sense because they don't have all their faculties to them, you know.
The thing is, though, is that human beings have weight to them,
and
like corpses would have weight, and if they start moving against that door, just their weight, even if they're not even actively pushing, is going to
pressure.
Understandably, I just went with the like they are aware sometimes that something is in there, and then it's like he put that flimsy little metal tin sign underneath and screwed it in, which, by the way, screwed it in super easy.
Yeah, there wasn't any pre-drilled holes or anything. Nothing. I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, I wished I could do that whenever I'm trying to do something. Yeah, there's no way.
And all of a sudden it's like, I can't see you, so you're not there. So if you think about zombies, that should be kind of how it is. Like, they can't see him. They don't know he's there. They suspect. And then think about it. Him and her are talking, and they have no idea what the fuck is going on still. Like, most zombies, you have to be quiet because they're going to, tear down whatever area you're in. They're like, oh, fuck, I heard someone breathe. I'm going to fucking come after that. And in this case, they didn't. I think that's more realistic for zombies. And that's how I prefer my zombies to be if I'm ever in the situation.
And that makes sense to a certain degree, but different zombies movies have different rules. This is something I completely forgot about until you mentioned it from Silent Night, Zombie Night, that I'll actually give them credit for. They went the route of saying that zombies don't necessarily operate upon sight; they operate upon smell.
Yes,
and they actually have a spray that they had that's supposed to remove, like, body odor or something like that, and they spray that on, and they can move amongst the zombies without being detected.
Well, think about The Walking Dead. They, you walk out covered in zombie guts, you smell like one of them.
Yeah, I mean, and that makes more sense to me because, I mean, they always say that, like, smell is like that lizard brain part, and zombie movies are operate upon that the lizard brain is the only active part of the brain that's still functioning. Like all the higher level cerebellums, and all that are dead, but the lizard brain, which is, fight, eat, that sort of thing, is the only thing active, and that's the part that's supposed to be connected with a smell sense. So that would make sense to me more than like the sight part of it, because those nerves are very fragile in the eyes anyways, and if you die or whatever, I could see them not working as well, and their sight being a little bit off because of it.
Yeah, but as we mentioned, in low budget films, they don't really establish a lot of rules for the zombies.
Yeah.
So, that's just the case with this film in particular. You know what I didn't understand is why Heather gave herself up. Like, she just literally gave it, like, nothing she did helped him. It seemed like she was trying to do it to help him.
Hold on. We gotta break that apart real quick. Okay. How fat was this lady? Would you say she had a nickname?
Heather the Heifer.
Okay. So this motherfucker's crawling through walls, trying to filter his way through zombies. Do you think her fat ass stands a chance
to run?
To help, to not be a goddamn burden. She ain't gonna make it.
Yeah, but I like.
She's like a pig with an apple shoved in his ass and been roasted and stuck on an island with people I've never had meet.
I feel like if someone's gonna do that, they should do it.
What the fuck
in
is
a situation that's gonna help them get out? Is what it would have made more sense.
I think she realized that she wasn't gonna help in any metric.
That would have been helpful. Hey, you run while I'm getting eaten by these zombies.
She didn't say that.
Well, there's that, but she also plays back into that theme I talked about. I mean, she's been bullied. It's Christmas time. She has nobody.
Yeah.
She offs herself. I mean, she's the stand-in for those suicides that we were talking about.
That's true.
Yeah, technically.
I was just like, can you have made yourself more useful, though?
I think she realized
She was going to keep those zombies busy for a minute. She's big.
But I'm just saying, though, that the saver, I think she realized that was a lost cause.
Yeah.
Yeah. She was going to drag the two of them down because she couldn't really contribute in any way, shape, or form to really help him. And he kind of fucked her over by pulling those zombies from the other department through the wall, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, because eventually they were going to get through that tiny little hole.
Yeah, I mean, pushed. So... And actually, it's funny, but that we picked these two movies because we have a zombie having its head mashed in with a toilet seat, and zombies breaking through a bathroom wall in both the films that we picked for this episode. I thought that was there when I watched it. I'm like, well, how did we do this? Like, how did we connect these two movies? And we did with that one little thing.
Well, it was literally because you had seen Stalled before this.
I had not, no.
Oh, okay, so this was your first time. Well, that's just random then, because I'm the one who was like, okay, well, you got to watch Anna and the Apocalypse, and then, which obviously that was going to happen, and then you're like, okay, well, here's some other zombie films, and I went through the list, and I was like, Stalled sounds like something that I would be able to sit through.
And it worked.
Yeah.
I mean, but yeah, I think it's all right for a little, you know. I mean,
it wasn't a bad film. Look at it. This is a film I'd watch again.
It's definitely
entertaining.
Yeah.
A holiday movie.
Yes, a good, wholesome, quality family film.
All right. Speaking of that, we will pick up with Anna and the Apocalypse next episode.
All right. Wait,
and with that, peace be with you.
And with your spirit.